What's up, guys? It's Hafsa Slayman, and you're listening to Confessions of a Doctorholic. And we're one day away from 2021. And there might be a new year, new me situation, not gonna lie to yous. But you know who's like really pissed off about that? George Farrell Collini. Have a listen to why. Alright, so, George, New Year resolutions. Everyone's gonna have it planned by now what they're gonna do next year. How do you feel about New Year resolutions?
So on a scale of 0 to 100, I think I'm coming into this conversation at a 75. I'm very headstrong right now.
75 like for New Year resolutions or against it?
It's against, but 75 in terms of opinionated towards this topic.
Oh, okay. So you're pumped for this topic.
Yes, extremely. Just to share my opinion. And
Okay.
I know my opinion isn't like law or anything like that, but it's,
But it's law.
to me, yeah.
So George descended from a family of pharaohs. These guys were in charge of New Year resolutions.
Supported by evidence.
What do you mean? It's in the pyramids. There's like hieroglyphics that say that.
So have to read hieroglyphs apparently. That should be our next challenge.
Hey, listen. Some people can play instruments, like Christos last week. Gabriel can play the piano. You can play the guitar, okay?
I was just strumming right now.
Everyone has a talent. Mine seems to just be talking and eating. So I'm gonna take reading hieroglyphics, even though I can't do it. But I can try.
Yeah, Hafsa's gonna make her own language. Hit her up 2020 half language.
That's my New Year resolution, clearly. So I'm gonna tell you guys the history behind New Year resolutions.
Before I
Apparently-
share my strongly opinionated,
Yes, before...
strong opinions.
Okay.
But anyways, tell us the history.
Okay, so it started 4,000 years ago from the Babylonians. They apparently used to renew their vows to their kings and promises to the gods for 12 straight days in March.
In March.
In March, apparently. So it wasn't really like actual New Year.
Is that their new year?
I think that was what it is. I'm still confused over that, but it
Yeah.
was 12 days in
We'll
March.
fact check that.
And then the second thing, ancient Romans, they had a similar thing, but New Year's Day for them was when soldiers swore an oath of loyalty.
Two great civilizations, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're not around right now. Is it New Year's resolutions that brought them down? We'll
So-
never know.
In 2013, it showed that only half of people who make New Year resolutions actually stick to their goals.
Honestly, I'm surprised by that number. I would expect it to be less than half.
Really?
Yeah.
Share your opinion with me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about how I formed this opinion of New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
I studied kinesiology. It's the movement of the human body, but I did a lot of sociology, lots of psychology in terms of exercise and people's motivation towards exercise at McMaster University in Canada. So one of the biggest New Year's resolutions, if not the biggest, is to increase physical activity, right? Like all of these gyms have an influx of people at the beginning of the year. You'll probably find that your gym is super packed at the start of the year.
I've actually noticed that. Like last year, I was at the gym in January, and one of the girls was like, just wait 2 more weeks, it's gonna be empty. And it was crazy. By like the 16th of Jan, it was empty. People just gave up on their goals.
Yeah, so I feel like by Valentine's Day, probably more than half of the people have stopped going to the gym. So anyway, so we're studying these this idea of New Year's resolutions and how people increase how much physical activity they do all the way until maybe beginning of February. And we were just kind of trying to study why people might start to get into more positive, healthy behaviors at the start of the year. And it's this whole thing about goal setting and how people don't actually set goals properly in order to maintain this new habit that they hope to form.
So, how do you suggest we go about planning our goals? So, you mentioned once that you like to plan something called SMART goals. So, how do we go about this?
Yeah, this is huge in literature and you find it in YouTube videos and all over. I guess SMART goals, it's an acronym, SMART. S is for specific goals. So I set a specific goal. For example, I'm going to do 30 minutes of exercise a day and then specify a specific exercise. For example, I'll go for a 30-minute jog, right? So S is specific. M is measurable. So how can I measure that I performed this goal? All right, so obviously we just said 30 minutes. That's a measurable amount. But you could also do something like, oh, I plan to run like a 5K by the end of Feb, right? So you're going to train for a month, you're going to hope to run that 5K. And then A is like attainable. What is an attainable goal? If you don't currently exercise, for example. I'm just using exercise as an example, but you can use this for any really New Year's resolution, quote unquote. Is this attainable? If you don't exercise at all right now, do you think you can run you can do like Iron Man by the beginning of Feb. You can try, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
kudos if you do it. Like, don't let me stop you. But an attainable goal, yeah.
Well, I mean, guys, if you were in the studio, you'd see like George is just like staring at me. I think he believes that I'm gonna be on the next Ninja Warrior. So like.
I feel like you could do it though.
Thank you.
You've been doing lots of chin-ups.
Oh yes! So I got my chin up. I'm super proud of it. I've actually put a video everywhere. Anyone that I bump into, I'm like, by the way, I
Look at this.
got a chin up. And then they ask me, how many chin-ups can you do? And I'm like, 1. But I am proud of my 1 chin-up. I will put a video on my Insta stories later to show all of you my progress.
But to be fair, you do multiple sets of 1 chin-up.
That's also true. Thank you for having my back there.
You know, silver lining. Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying.
So we measured SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, are realistic. Do you think you can actually do 30 minutes of exercise a day? Or do you think your schedule can accommodate that to start with? And then T is timely, right? So you're going to complete these in a timely manner, for example, or if you set your goal to run a 5K marathon, you know, think about how much time you have during the week and what you can actually achieve. So yeah, so I just think people really set their New Year's resolutions the wrong way, I think. They just think they're going to stop all the bad stuff, that whatever they think is bad, start all the new stuff, and they're going to be able to stick with it. But I feel like habit forming is a gradual process, but it's really breaking. Sorry, you know, I'm coming in at 85 right now, going up to 90. So it's not only forming a new habit, but it's also breaking old habits. If you're going to break a habit, it's going to take longer to form a new habit after breaking a habit. And that's why I feel SMART goals really helped me to, for example, pick up more exercise.
So it's really interesting that you mentioned changing behaviors, right? Because apparently it does take a few days. It's not something that you can go like, oh, and by the way, I'm changing my habit right now, so it's going to change. I read in this article that brain scans have shown that these behaviors are created by thinking in patterns. So before you go like, I want to change this habit. Going back to this gym example, say if I'm a person that just stays at home and I don't go to the gym regularly, I actually have to start by planning it in my head. So how feasible is it going to be? Am I going to go to the gym? Which gym am I going to go to? What time am I going to go to? How long am I going to go to the gym? And then apparently it forms neuronal pathways and changes the connections inside your brain. And this was according to Psychology Today. So apparently after about 18 to 21 days of repeated behavior, these new pathways take full form.
Is it full form or do they start to form? Because what I'm thinking is, you mentioned some really good stuff, like how to get around barriers. So if you say, oh, like I'm Canadian, as you know, so it might snow every day. So if it's snowing and I can't get to the gym, but I still have that goal of doing 30 minutes of exercise, for example, how am I going to get around that? So it's really planning a safety net under myself, a bit like metaphorical, I guess, safety net. And it's just like, oh, if I can't exercise or go to the gym, how will I still perform my 30 minutes of exercise? And then you mentioned that it takes 18 to 21 days. Yes, I feel like to break a negative cycle of not exercising previously and then to actually form the habit, I think it might take longer than that for some people. Like, I think if you really commit yourself, but I think habits take like months and years to form.
I mean, in this study, this is what they mentioned, but 100%, because everyone's so different. So some people might take longer, some people might take a shorter time. And here's the other thing that I really want to hit. Everyone says, new year, new me. New year, new year resolutions. I'm going to change this. I'm going to start the new year and I'm going to be a completely new person. But why do we have to wait till the new year? Why do you have to wait 365 days later to form this new connection, this new habit? You can just start today. Like say, oh, you know, you want to start a new habit when you go back to uni. So if you're back and you want to start a new habit and you study skill, whatever, you can start then. It doesn't have to be, oh, you know what? It's 2020. I want to wait till 2021 to start my new habit. No, just start today. Like just pick any random day and start.